Hello, this is Spartan Commander, and this is the 329th Rome Total War Brotherhood game that I've put onto YouTube. As you can see, this battle was fought on the Germania forest map with big open plains and woods to fight in if we want. As I say, this is one of my favourite maps because it's got a bit of everything in it, really. For barbarian troops and ordinary Roman troops as well. Okay, our first teammate is Brotherhood member Steve Longshanks. He's had a little bit of a break from Rome Total War lately, but has now come back on and is really enjoying it, as he always did. As you can see, a lot of his army is hiding in the woods, so we'll have a closer look at his army a little bit later on. Our next teammate is Brotherhood member Earth. A lot of you know Earth, a newer member to the Brotherhood, but really good player. And as you can see, he's also bought the Rome SPQR faction, but a lot of his army is hiding in the woods as well. So we'll have a little bit look at those a little bit later on, because I know a lot of newer players for Rome Total War like to see our army builds and upgrades. And our third teammate is Brotherhood member Legion 22, who has unusually bought the Germania faction. So we'll just have a quick look at his Germania army. Straight away I've noticed there's not a lot of infantry in that army. As you can see there, he's got 6 Gothic cavalry units. Have a look at the upgrades. Okay, so the upgrades on these cavalry are 8 upgrades, so that's 2 experience stripes, gold shield, gold attack. If you look at the specifications of this Gothic cavalry, you'll see they are very good, and to put that many upgrades on really makes these cavalry super elite. As I say, they're very underestimated cavalry, but as I say, if you have a look at their specifications, they are very good. And I see he's got 4 chosen axemen there. And remember, these chosen axemen are effective against armour. He's got 6 upgrades on, so he's only got gold shield, gold attack. As I say, those axes are effective against armour and can cut wide swathes through heavily armoured troops like Roman urban cohorts. And they are very effective, but only having 4. I notice he's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 chosen archers there. Have a quick look at the upgrades there, and I see he's got gold shield, gold attack upgrades on those archers. Now these archers do a lot of damage, have got long range, and they're so tough you can use them as light infantry when you run out of arrows. But he's got 7 units of those, obviously to protect his barbarian troops, who are extremely susceptible to missile damage. Okay, now we're going to look at the infamous berserkers. 1, 2, 3, 4. So he's got 7, I think it's 7 upgrades on his berserkers. And remember, these berserkers are based on real historic characters who literally just used to go berserk in battle. These men had an aura about them, even outside of battle, that people used to leave them alone and avoid them if they could. In this game, they've got 2 hit points. They've got effective against armor maces, and have got very good specifications. As I say, based on real historic characters, there's tales of these guys having cocktail of drugs, drunk, or even mental health problems before in battle, and they used to be avoided by both friend and foe alike. But with only 7 infantry, including those 3 berserkers, it'll be interesting to see how this Germania army does during the course of the battle. 7 infantry, not too sure about that, but we'll just have to wait and see. And our 4th teammate is myself, who has unusually bought the Macedon faction. Now this army is a very old army, and we'll have a look at it a little bit later on. So there's our team there. Looks pretty good to me, but you wait till you see the other team. This could be a great battle. Okay, so as he said, we'd have another look at Steve's army here. He is now out of the woods. As you can see, he's got 14 units there, with 4 pilot shield units there. And if you notice that the pilot shield units, I don't think I've got any upgrades on at all. I don't think I've got any upgrades on at all. And then his first battle line, his main battle formation there, if you notice, he just got 6 upgrades on, gold shield, gold attack. But if you look at his rear battle line there, you'll see that he's got 7 upgrades. So that's an experience stripe, gold shield, gold attack on his rear battle line there. And if you notice, his general is fully upgraded. So that's 3 experience stripes, gold shield, gold attack. So that's an interesting army there. No upgrades, or I think one of his units might have 1 upgrade on his pilot shield units there. But the rest of the units have got no pilot upgrades on those pilot shield units. And he's got his cavalry there, and let's see, he's got 7 upgrades on his cavalry. So he's got 5 units of cavalry with a gold shield, gold attack, and a stripe on. Let's have a look at Earth's army here, because he was also hiding in the woods there. As you can see, he's got 10 infantry units and just 4 archer units there. I got those archer units there probably to help with the Seleucid faction. Let's say 10 infantry, 4 archers, and then he's got 6 cavalry. Now, he usually brings serious cavalry. Let's have a look. Yeah, if you look at his cavalry there, can you see that he's got 8 upgrades? So it's 2 experience stripe, gold shield, gold attack. So that's a very, very serious group of cavalry there. So there's the 2 armies there we didn't look at earlier. Looks pretty good to me. Should be an interesting battle. At this stage of the battle, I thought I'd give a little bit of background about this Macedon army of mine. About 9-10 years ago, I noticed that the Brotherhood was starting to lose battles where the enemy team had Greek city factions in it. And we just couldn't seem to beat these Greek city factions with Rome. So I remember I went into the custom part of Rome, and I built 3 armies of Carthage and 3 armies of Macedon. I wanted to look for pike or spear factions that could counter Greek cities. So I had 3 experimental Carthage armies and 3 experimental Macedon armies. And over some months I practiced and tried and tested these armies out. And what I found was that this Macedon army here that I've got here actually suited my style of play better to counter the Greek city armies. If you notice there, I've got, I think it's 16 pike units there in that block formation. I tried several different formations as well, but this block formation seemed to suit me quite well. If you see, the block formation is so dense that if you're attacked from the flank, you can actually send units out to defend your flank there and still keeping a good solid front of your formation facing the enemy. I found that even if you're attacked, as I said, from either flank, you can peel units off from your formation there to protect your flank, but still keeping a steady front part of your formation. If you notice, I've got 4 Cretan archers as well. As you know, the big 120-man units are extremely susceptible to archer damage, so you need archers to defend those pike units there. So it'll be interesting to see how this army, which is maybe 10 years old, will do on a modern day battlefield against good players. And here is the other team. We have Brotherhood member Lando. A lot of veterans will know him as Brotherhood member Turbo, but he calls himself Lando now, and he's bought the Rome Julii faction. As you can see, a lot of his, I think the rest of his cavalry will be hidden in the woods there. But Turbo, as you know, Lando, as you know, will be a very aggressive attacking player, and it wouldn't surprise me if he started his attack tactics right from the very beginning of the game. As I say, very, very aggressive attacking player. Their next teammate is RTW player Mighty Mouse. Now, Mighty Mouse has played in a lot of our 31k battles and is a very good RTW player. As you can see there, I think he's got 11 infantry units there, which is a small amount for the modern day battlefield. I see he's got 3 archer units there, with 6 upgrades on, gold shield, gold attack for those archer units, and 6 cavalry, where he's got 7 upgrades on, so that's an experience stripe, gold shield, gold attack. Now this type of army reminds me of old armies on Rome Total War from years and years ago. 11 or 12 infantry, 3 archers, and 6 cavalry. It's very much what I would call a retro army, is this type of army here, but very well balanced. We always used to bring archers to the 31k battlefield, but maybe in the last 7 or 8 years we don't tend to bring them that much. But that is kind of an old-fashioned army. Be interesting to see how well it does. The third teammate is a RTW player who calls himself We Are Raja. But I think that he's a well-known RTW player who has changed his name to this. I'm not sure exactly who he is, but we thought as a team that he was probably someone that we knew under a different name. Now, if you notice here, he split his Greek cities army into 2. He's got 10 Spartan units in this army, backed up by 3 Cretan archers. And unusually, if you notice, he's only got 5 upgrades on his Spartans. So whether that's gold shield, silver attack, or maybe gold attack, silver defense, I'm not sure, to be honest with you, but it's unusual to have an odd number of upgrades there. And you see he's got 3 Cretan archers, long range Cretan archers there in that particular part of his army. And then this other little army that he's split up here, as you can see, he's got 3 Spartans and 3 more Cretan archers. So that's an unusual thing to do there, I think, having such a small B army, if you like. And their fourth teammate is RTW player Lee. A lot of you will know Lee, very good player, and he has unusually bought the Seleucid faction here. 2, 3, 4, 5. Just showing, if you look at the upgrades there, I think on his Polish shield units he's got 3 upgrades, but on his main battle force there, I think he's got 6. He's got 5, 10, I think he's got something like 14 or 15 pikes there. If you notice, he's got no silver legionnaires. He hasn't bought any of their legionnaire units. I see a lot of people these days tend to bring legionnaire units in with the pike units there, but they're all pikes in this particular army. You see, he's got his cavalry general there with 7 upgrades on, so that's a gold shield, gold attack, and 1 strike. Now we move on to the cataphracts. Remember these cataphracts, very tough cavalry. As you can see, he's got 7 upgrades, so that's an experienced stripe, gold shield, gold attack. We tend to call these guys the tanks of the ancient world, as we said before in other battle videos, because they kind of are armoured from head to toe, and they fight with spears, but if you alt attack them, you will see that they have got effective against armour maces, and used correctly, they can be devastating cavalry. So there's the enemy team there, all really good players, should be good. Okay, at this stage of the battle, as we said earlier, as you can see, Turbo advancing with his army. As I said, always been very aggressive attacking player. Likes to keep the enemy on the back foot with his aggressive attacking tactics here. Let's just pause the game for a second. So as you can see, he's moving his infantry forward now. To a lot of players watching this, with Germania waiting to attack, plus being backed up by its Roman allies, moving that Julii army forward could be a bit risky there. Let's say Roman generals don't really like taking on Germania because, as we know, those berserkers have a big fear factor and can destabilize Roman troops, making them more susceptible to routing. But as I say, Turbo's brought his Julii army across there with his archers there. But if you notice that Legion 22 is moving his infantry away from the Julii troops there, and if you notice that Steve's moving his SBQ army over towards Turbo's Julii army there. I think the plan at this stage of the battle was that I think Steve wanted to hit the Julii, the enemy Julii army there with his SBQR troops, and then our Germania ally was just going to pour his berserkers and axemen through Steve's troops into the Julii infantry there, with a view to try and rout that Julii army. I think that was the plan at this stage of the battle. Obviously, as battles can be unpredictable, it'll be interesting to see if we can do that. But that's the battle plan at the moment. Steve's moving his infantry over there to engage the enemy Julii general, and then all our team is going to run the cavalry into that particular battle as well, try and rout the enemy along with the Germania troops. So it'll be interesting to see if we can carry out that plan against the enemy team. Okay, so it's still a very early stage of the battle here, and as you can see, Steve has brought his army over to face Lando's army, as we were talking about earlier. Our Germania ally has got his infantry, those 3 berserkers and 4 axemen, in behind Steve there, for if the attack does happen there. But if you notice there, the enemy Scipii army there are looking at the flank of Steve's army. So whether Steve will want to push on further towards the red Julii army, exposing his right flank to the enemy there, I'm not sure. If you notice, our other SBQ, our allies, bringing his Roman army across there to cover Steve's right flank as Steve moves forward. Now remember, the battle plan here is Steve wants to engage the Julii army there if he can, and then we're going to send in Germania and all our cavalry to try and rout that army. But if you notice that the Julii general, seeing what's probably going to happen there, has wisely decided to retreat his army back towards his allies. Remember, those Seleucid pikemen there will kill barbarian troops really easy, including berserkers. So that's something that the Germania general is going to have to be very aware of if he puts the attack in anywhere near the Seleucid troops. As you can see here, Steve being very aggressive with his army, moving forward here. Wants to engage those Julii infantry. Let's just pause the game for a second. So as I say here, remember the battle plan. Steve wants to engage the Julii infantry there so that Germania and all our allies' cavalry can charge in there and hopefully rout that enemy Julii army. Right, as you can see here, lots of archer battles going on at the moment. I've got my Macedon archers over there, my Cretan archers over there, targeting the enemy Cretan archers. Remember, my 120 man units are extremely susceptible to missile damage, so to win the archer battle is very, very important when you've got Macedon, because if the enemy wins, they will cause a lot of casualties to your pikemen and could even affect the outcome of the battle by causing so many casualties. Right, you can see here that my block Macedon army here is specifically built and bought to fight the Greek cities, but if there's a breach in my team's main battle line, then of course I'll run my infantry in to go into that breach. But of course, the moment I do that, the Greek city's general's army will be free to do what he wants. He knows that I'm watching him with my Macedon army, so if he sees my army move off to engage other of his teammates, he knows then that his Greek city's army can do whatever it wants and attack where it wants. So for me to move out of the position of shadowing the Greek city's general could be bad for our team, as I said, the Greek city's general will know that he can do whatever he wants with his army then, because my troops will already be engaged. Okay, you can see a lot of our Germania generals, archers there, engaging the enemy archers. You can see that Turbo here, as I say, very aggressive player, wants to attack. As you know, retreating, pulling back is not really in his vocabulary. He really likes to attack. As you can see here, he's moved forward onto Steve's units here. Lots of pilot exchanging going on. So what I'm thinking is, looking at both Steve, who's very aggressive, and Turbo, who's very aggressive, I'm thinking the battle's going to kick off here. And there's the enemy cavalry charging in, and bang! So that Julii cavalry hits, routing several of Steve's pilot shield units there. Steve looks like he's going to counterattack with his cavalry as well here. And if you notice, the Julii general then pulls his army back. But if you notice, there's some Scipii, enemy Scipii cavalry coming across as well. And bang! As he charges into Steve's forward units. Plus the enemy Scipii infantry is moving across onto Steve's flank as well. So as we said earlier, it looks like the battle may well kick off in this particular area. If you notice, just behind Steve's army, you'll see the Germania general moving his troops forward. Right, let's just pause the game for a second. So here on the left flank here, you can see Steve still trying to engage the Julii troops for Germania to pull through. But if you notice, there's Seleucid pikemen pulling in behind the Julii army there. Remember, those pikemen will kill barbarian troops extremely quickly. So it'll be interesting to see where Legion decides to put his attack. As you can see, the enemy Scipii troops are moving across as well. So as we said earlier, this is where we think the battle may well kick off in this particular part of the battlefield here. Right, notice that our Germania general Legion there has took his Germania army over towards the Scipii army, the blue Scipii army there, to avoid the Seleucid pikes. So that was a nice tactical attacking move there by Legion 22. You'd much prefer to attack the Scipii army there with no pikes there. Let's just pause the game for a second. So I say that was a nice tactical switch there by Legion 22, seeing that the pikes behind the Julii army there, so not wanting to attack them because he knows the pikes will kill his troops quickly, he switches his attack to attack the enemy Scipii troops there. So as I say, a nice tactical switch there by Legion 22 to attack the enemy blue Scipii troops there. Remember, those berserkers have got that fear factor where they knock the morale down of enemy troops and therefore destabilize enemy troops, making them very susceptible to routing. So as you can see here, we're attacking there. You can see it as the Greek city general, seeing the danger, starting to bring some pike units over to defend his Scipii ally against barbarian troops. And if you notice, I'm moving my Macedon army across here as well. So as I say, this is where the battle looks like it's going to kick off, and this is exactly what where we thought it would do. Okay, so as I say, after that nice switch by Legion 22 to attack the enemy Scipii troops, you can see that the enemy Seleucid pike general now is bringing his pikes across to try and neutralise the berserker attack. But meanwhile, there's a big cavalry hit here on Steve's infantry from the Seleucid and Julii cavalry, and bang, as that cavalry goes in, routing another unit of Steve's units there, SBQR units. But remember, his rear units there had 7 upgrades: Experience Stripe, Gold Shield, Gold Attack. So I'm thinking that those rear units with that Experience Stripe, which makes all the difference, will hold. Right, if you notice here, you can see that the 2 Berserker units Legion has activated now are charging it into the enemy troops. But as I say, you've got Greek city units coming across there now to try and neutralise the Berserker attack with their spears. And as you can see, I'm bringing my Macedon army across here, but the main Greek city's army is still over there on our right flank, not moved yet. But as I say, I'm moving my Macedon troops across here to try and help my allies out. Because with only those 2 berserkers, if they're actually killed, then there's only 4 Germania axemen, and I'm not sure if they would make much of a difference in attacking the enemy troops there. So I'm a bit worried about our attack over here, if it's going to waver or not. As I say, you can see that Seleucid tank cavalry combined with that Julii cavalry there attacking Steve's army. If we look a little bit closer at the Seleucid, remember I was telling you about the alt attack here. If you notice that some of the Seleucid cataphracts here, if you notice closely, you can see they're fighting with spears still. Okay, so they've just been charged in normally, so they'll be fighting with their spears. But if you notice that some of their colleagues, there's their spears there, if you notice that some of their colleagues there, some of their comrades, have actually got effective against armor maces out. Okay, so if you alt attack, those effective against armor maces come out, and they do a heck of a lot more damage than those light spears. So you can see that some were attacked with using their spears, and some have been alt attacked there against Steve's units. Right, as I said here, you can see that Legion 22 now has activated all 3 of his Berserker units there against the Scipii infantry. But there are Seleucid pikemen and Greek city spearmen moving in there to neutralise those Berserker units. And if you notice that the enemy Scipii general is pulling his infantry back there to avoid the Berserkers and trying to draw the Berserkers onto his allies' pikes and spears. So that's a nice little tactical move there, because the Berserkers, once they go Berserk, are not controlled by their general, and they will just charge at the nearest enemy unit. And by the looks of it, they're charging into Seleucid pikemen there, so they will die quickly. Let's say you've got the Greek city units moving over from our right. If you notice, as I say, I've put my block Macedon formation right in the centre of our team there to try and help with at least holding there, if not attacking the enemy. Facing Seleucid infantry there and some Scipii infantry at the rear there. But as I say, the Greek cities now are free to do what they want, because they've seen that I've actually moved my troops in to engage its teammates there. So it wouldn't surprise me if the Greek cities tried a flanking attack there on my Macedon army. As you see, I'm facing Seleucid, as I said, pikemen there. Over on our left, you can see that Steve and Earth are holding the left flank of my Macedon formation. But there's a lot of enemy cavalry out here engaging our cavalry. Now remember, the Earth's cavalry had 8 upgrades. 2 experience stripe, gold shield, gold attack, and bang as that cavalry hits. If you notice here, Lee has got his cataphracts there, but they're being hit by that high upgraded cavalry. And if you notice now, the cataphract cavalry has just been routed. Okay, but Turbo's just charged his Julii cavalry in there as well. And if you notice that both teams now are sending infantry over for this particular part of the battle. Remember, whoever wins here will have cavalry left to be able to get in behind the enemy team. So that could prove pivotal there. If you notice, the Seleucid general is moving his pikes forward there in an aggressive manner. But over here, as I say, Turbo's got his cavalry and some infantry units in there against our SBQR cavalry and some SBQR infantry units as well there. So this could be the make or break of the battle there, maybe on that left flank, because whoever wins will still have cavalry left. As we thought here, you can see that the Greek city's general, just pause the game for a second, you can see the Greek city's general is doing a flanking attack here, moving in on our flank. But as you can see, the Earth has put some of his SBQR troops out to counter that move. There's lots of enemy archers left here, shooting loads of arrows into our team. Mostly shooting the Germania archers there. But if they start turning their fire onto my Macedon pikemen, I will lose loads of pikemen to their missile fire there. As you can see, as I say, the enemy moving in on our right flank. I've got my Macedon pikemen moving forward there. But if you notice, as I say, with this block formation, I've got units I can move over to the right flank if necessary. Earth and Steve here protecting the left flank of my formation there against any Seleucid attack coming in there. So that's a nice bit of support there. But as I say, over here on our rear left, you can see that there's a cavalry infantry battle going on. It'll be interesting to see who wins that. So enemy Julii troops there and our SBQR troops there. Okay, our Germania general's just been killed, so the morale of his troops will drop dramatically. And you know, when barbarian troops lose their generals, they're very susceptible to routing. And I can't see a lot of Germania troops left there. I think there's one Berserker unit still fighting I can see, but he's up against Seleucid pikemen. Right, as I said, here on our right flank, you can see that the Greek city's general is attacking the flank of my Macedon army. Steve Longshanks and Earth are defending the left side of my formation, but with the right side, that's where the Greek cities are charging in. So I must be very aware of those Greek city troops coming in on my right flank. So if you notice there, I'm turning some of my units there to face a threat on the right, but I've still got units, good units at the front, still holding the front of my formation, and I'm still being able to turn units to my right to defend my formation against those Greek city units who are moving in. But at this stage of the battle, things do not look very good for us on our right flank. With those Greek cities, remember, with those excellent specifications, 2 hit points attacking my Macedon units. Right, let's just pause the game for a second. So as you can see here, as I say, I've got units here facing the front. I'd like to kill that Julii general there with my pikemen, but I've also managed to turn units to the right to defend the attacking Greek cities coming in on our right flank. So as I say, I'm holding the front and the right. My allies here are holding the left flank of my Macedon faction very good there, holding up the Seleucid pikemen there and the enemy Julii units there. So there's a general overview of the battle, but the enemy have got a lot of archers now shooting into my Macedon pikemen, causing big casualties. Those fire archers don't, not only cause damage, but of course they do spread fear and panic amongst enemy troops as well, lowering the morale of enemy troops. So as I say, there's a general disposition of the battle, with the Seleucid troops pushing forward against my Macedon troops. You've got the enemy blue Scipio troops there as well. Let's say with these Greek city troops moving in on our right flank, knowing their specifications, things might not be looking that good on our right flank. As I say, if you notice here, I'm turning Macedon pike units to not just meet the Greek city attacks, but also to attack them. See how aggressive I'm being with my Macedon pikemen there? Not just turning to face them, but actually attacking them as well. So that's what I want to do. I want to try and counter the Greek city's attack with my troops attacking as well there. So as I say, the centre, the front of my units there are like the centre of our army there, and my right flank is being attacked by those Greek cities which I'm trying to defend. But over here on the left, both Earth and Steve Longshanks are doing extremely well on our left flank there. As you can see here, there's a close-up of the long pikes of my Macedon pikemen there facing the short spears of the Spartans. I'm hopefully going to cause them a lot of casualties there. But I've noticed that there's several of my Macedon units are starting to rout at this stage of the battle. Remember, Macedon morale is not very good, and if they start suffering big casualties, they are susceptible to routing, and they are susceptible to chain routing as well. Meanwhile, as I say, Steve Longshanks and Earth are doing extremely well on our left flank, trying to turn the enemy flank there and roll the enemy up from left to right. Let's just pause the game for a second. So as you can see here, the enemy have brought over some Scipio troops there, as well as the Seleucid pikemen there to try and hold their flank against Steve and Earth's attack. As I say here, my troops basically are a holding force there, I think, in the centre, just trying to hold our centre and right flank there, hopefully allowing Steve and Earth to maybe roll up the enemy team there. But there's a lot of pressure on my pikemen, and as I say, a lot of my pikemen have already been routed, so it'd be interesting to see if we can actually hold. As you can see here, the enemy archer has been put into close formation now to be able to do more damage. Their arrows will be more compact, and we'll have better impact, and we'll do a lot of damage there. So I'm being shot at by loads of archers there, as well as being attacked by those Greek city units. But as I say, my role there at the moment is a holding force, I believe, but also I am being aggressive with my pikemen towards those Spartan units. As I say, there's another one of my units routed there. So, as I say, it's a bit of touch and go on this right flank, especially with those archers shooting straight into us as well. Notice the Greek city general has just attacked the rear of my engaged Macedon troops there. So micromanagement at this time of the battle is extremely important. Remember, whenever you handle pike or spear units, you need to have really good micromanagement skills. Okay, and mine have slowed a little bit over the years, so I tend not to use them that much. Right, if you notice here, Earth charging those really well up graded cavalry into that enemy Scipio infantry. Nice hit there, and bang, as that cavalry smashes into those infantry. Both Steve and Earth's infantry are attacking the enemy there as well. Scipio, remember the blue Scipio and the Seleucid are the enemy, and the SBQR here at that particular part of the battlefield are our team. So we're not doing too bad there. If we can break that those Scipio infantry, we can then get in behind their engaged infantry there. and that could probably prove pivotal to the outcome of the battle. Right, the Greek city's general's just been killed. It wouldn't surprise me to see the morale of the Greek city starting to drop. Yeah, you can see some of the Greek city units now that have suffered a lot of casualties starting to rout with their general being killed. As I say, I wasn't just holding with my Macedon pikemen. I was being really aggressive with them in some places of the battlefield as well, trying to counter the Greek city's attack with my own attack there. Right, okay, so we've just routed the Scipio General. Now remember that Scipio General was an Eagle unit. Remember, Eagle unit specifications are not as good as urban cohort units, so if you use an Eagle unit, try and keep it out of the battle as long as you can, or it can die quite quickly. Now, with the General gone, the Scipio infantry at the back there will start to rout, as you've seen there. All the time with my Macedon pikemen there and trying to kill that red Julii General. Obviously I want to kill it. There we go. Looks like we just routed the red Julii General there, so now the Julii infantry that are left, their morale will drop quite considerably. If you notice, I've upped the pikes of these guys, ran them forward, and the moment I came into contact with enemy troops I put the pikes down, and that usually causes a heck of a lot of casualties to the enemy team there. So as you can see here, there's just a few of our very battle damaged units left here now, and mostly I see the enemy tend to have just archer units left from what I can see, trying to cause as many casualties to us as they can with those archer units. But as you can see here, at this stage of the battle, it looks like our team has managed to go on to win. But as I say, you can see we've only got very battle damaged units here. Right, yeah, as I said, you can see that Steve, Earth and myself only got very battle damaged units left, and I think our Germania allies, all his units were killed a bit earlier in the battle there, but he did cause a lot of damage, and with those berserkers caused a lot of fear to the enemy troops there. So he did well. As you can see, there are lots of dead in this particular part of the battlefield. You can see a lot of red cloaked Spartans there. They really show up in the snow there, their bodies. So you can see where most of them were killed there, attacking my Macedon units there on that right flank attack. But as you see, all over the battlefield here in this particular area, you can see where the intense battle was fought. And over here, do you remember we saw that cavalry and infantry battle here, which we thought may prove pivotal to the battle, and our team did manage to win there on that far left flank. But as you can see by the piles of dead there, how intense the fighting was. And as I say, it did prove pivotal here, I think. Being able to hold that right flank and attack by Greek cities there. So that old Macedon army of mine, I thought did quite well, really. As I say, he's just got some enemy archer units there shooting arrows at us at the moment. But my guess is they'll probably admit defeat soon, and that will be the end of the battle there. As I say, looking at the few units that we've got left, I'm going to guess this is going to be a very close victory here. So we'll just have to wait and see. But as I say, that I think he just admitted defeat, so I think that should be the end of the battle now. Okay, first thing I'd like to say is really well played to everybody in the game. Well done, guys. As I say, it's an average victory, which surprised me. Looking at the units that we had left and how battle damaged they were, I thought that would have been a close victory there. This battle was only fought last night, Friday, so it is quite a new battle. Just like to draw your attention to the Greek cities general, they're quite good. But if you notice, the highest kills in the game goes to Brotherhood member Earth, who got 1,933 kills. So well done to Earth. Very good kills there. I don't think our Germania ally got the kills that he would have liked, but he still got 795, so he still did well there with his Germania army. And Steve did well as well, 1,371. So really well done, guys. But as I say, the Greek cities general got 1,834 kills, so well done to him. A lot of those kills would have been killing my big 120-man units. So really well done, and that's how you get such good kills through doing that. Mighty Mouse, 1,522, and Turbo 1,300. I don't think Lee got the kills that he would have liked with his Seleucid army there. But in general, I thought the enemy team got some really good kills, and that 10-year-old, or however old, that's Macedon army of mine did well, 1,726. So it goes to show that even if you bring really old armies on from years and years ago, they can still do quite well on the modern day battlefield. And I really do love bringing old armies from those years ago onto the modern day battlefield to play against good players, just to see how well they would do. Just have a look at the specifications there. Pikeman didn't do too bad there. I see one unit got killed 147 men, so that's not too bad. I find the pikemen never get really great kills, but they didn't do too badly there. And the archers did okay too, not too bad. So as I say, once again, really well played to everybody in the game. I'd just like to say, really well done to Legion 22, well done to Earth, well done Steve Longshanks. You three really did great in that battle, and well done to the other team too. I hope you enjoyed this battle, Spartan Commander. Bye for now. Right.